you hear me now? Okay, thank you. So in the last face-to-face session, I have introduced Chapter 6, the principles of in survey of economics. And Chapter 6 is about perfect competition. We have defined a perfectly competitive market as a market with many sellers and many buyers. And these sellers sell a homogeneous product. Under a perfectly competitive market also, there are no barriers to entry. But maybe the most important characteristics of a perfectly competitive market is that both sellers and buyers, taken individually, are price takers. They take the price, the market price, as given to them. So no individual buyer and no individual seller can decide about the price. So the five most important features of perfectly competitive market can be summarized as follows. There are many sellers, there are many buyers, the product is homogeneous, there are no barriers to entry, and both buyers and sellers are price takers. Given these features, if we look at the firm-specific demand curve, the firm-specific demand curve is the curve that shows the relationship between the price charged by a specific firm and the quantity the firm can sell. So if we look at the firm-specific demand curve operating in a perfectly competitive market, we will see that this curve is horizontal. It is horizontal, meaning that the demand is perfectly elastic. The firm-specific demand curve is horizontal like that because the individual firm is price taker. The firm's decisions have no effect on the market price. If the firm here, for example, decides to produce 10 or 1,000, this decision has no effect on the price, on the market price. The price remains the same, 12. If we compare perfect competition to monopoly, we'll find that there is a great difference. The firm-specific demand curve of a monopolist is not horizontal, it is downward sloping, showing that the monopolist has the ability to decide about the price. The monopolist has market power. The monopolist is price maker. The monopolist can make the prices. So if the monopolist at point A produces 70 units, and these 70 units are sold to consumers at the unit price of $42, when the monopolist increases in the quantity produced from 70 to 90, the price will fall from 42 to 30. So the decisions made by the monopolist have direct effect on the market price. Under perfect competition, these decisions do not have any effect on the market price. This is the difference between being price maker, monopolist, and price taker, perfectly competitive firms. Let's now examine how a perfectly competitive firm makes its output decision. Remember from chapter 5 that when we study firms' output decisions, we need always to distinguish between decisions made in the short run and decisions made in the long run. But it should always be clear also that when it comes to output decision, whatever the market structure is, whatever we have perfect competition or monopoly or oligopoly or monopolistic competition, the principle is always the same. We apply the marginal principle in order to find the optimal quantity that maximizes the firm's profit. So, in order to maximize its profit, the firm uses the marginal principle. The marginal principle indicates that the quantity Q star that maximizes the firm's profit is where the marginal revenue of the firm is equal to its marginal cost. This is the marginal principle. And this principle applies to all market structures. Under perfect competition, however, we need to clarify the following. Marginal revenue under perfect competition, exam questions, is equal, as we know, to the change in total revenue divided by change in Q. We know that total revenue is equal to P times Q. So, change in total revenue, if you want to increase your revenue, you can do it by increasing your price, or by increasing your quantity, or by doing by increasing your price and increasing your quantity. So, any change in total revenue can be equal through a change in price or through a change in quantity. However, under perfect competition, the firm cannot use the price. The firm is price taker. So under perfect competition, you cannot increase the price. You take the price as it is given to you by the market. So delta P is equal to 0. Thus, the change in total revenue is only equal to P times the change in delta Q. So, marginal revenue is equal to change in total revenue is equal to P times delta Q over delta Q. We simplify here, it's equal to P. So marginal revenue of a perfectly competitive market, of a perfectly competitive firm, marginal revenue of a perfectly competitive firm is equal to the market price. It is like that. This is marginal revenue. Marginal revenue of a perfectly competitive firm is equal to the market price. So, to maximize its profit, a firm operating on a perfectly competitive market will always produce the quantity where the market price is equal to the marginal cost. P equal to marginal cost. The firm will produce the quantity Q star where the market price is equal to the marginal cost. I'll give you an example. So if total cost, and this is an example, if total cost, for example, is equal to 2Q cube minus Q power 2 plus 2Q plus 10. Imagine that the market price is equal to 10. Let's examine now before. So let's calculate the marginal cost. The marginal cost is equal to derivate or delta TC over delta Q. It's equal 6Q squared minus 2Q plus 2 okay, and to simplify, I will assume that this part is I will omit this part and just here minus 2Q. Okay, so and I will suppose that it's equal to Q star minus Q here. So here it's equal to 4Q minus 1 I will change. So I will give a more simplified. Then total cost is equal to 2Q stars minus 3Q. Total cost, plus 1. So the marginal cost is equal to the change in total cost over the change in Q. It's equal to 4Q minus 3. So suppose that the market price is equal to 9. Suppose that the market price is equal to 9. And suppose that you have a perfectly competitive firm. So the question is, find the quantity of output that maximizes the firm's profit. We know that the optimal quantity Q star is such that is where the marginal cost is equal to the market price. So we apply the rule 4Q minus 3 is equal to 9. So 4Q is equal to 12. So Q star is equal to 3. This is the quantity that maximizes our firm's profit. Here we have applied the marginal principle. In a perfectly competitive market, the marginal principle indicates that the firm maximizes its profit where by producing the quantity Q star where the marginal cost is equal to the market price. By applying the rule, we find that finally our firm must produce 3 units in order to maximize its profit. Graphically, we can apply this rule by doing the following. So here we have the 3 famous curves, the marginal cost curve, the average total cost curve, and the average variable cost curve. Remember that the marginal cost curve intersects the average variable cost curve and the average total cost curve in their minimums. So here, suppose that the market price is equal to 16. Graphically, which quantity maximizes the firm's profit? So, we should always apply the rule that to maximize its profit, the firm produces always the quantity where the price is equal to the marginal price. This is the marginal price curve. This is the price line. The price line, it's a horizontal line because the firm is price taker. So here, the price line intersects the marginal cost curve at point D. We then project this point to find that when the market price is equal to $16, the quantity that maximizes the firm's profit is equal to 9. However, if the market price is equal to 12, we have another optimal quantity that maximizes the firm. If the market price is equal to 12, then the firm produces the quantity Q star where the price 12 is equal to the marginal cost. That means point A, that happens at point A, then the quantity that corresponds to point A is equal to 8. This is how we can use the average cost curves in order to determine the firm's short-run output decision under perfect competition. This is called the marginal approach. It's called the marginal approach because we use the marginal principle. However, this is not enough for us. The fact that we know that, for example, the fact that when the price is equal to 16, the firm maximizes its profit by producing 9. It is true that when the firm produces 9, its profit is maximum. This is true. But we don't know whether the firm is losing or earning positive profit. And this is fundamental. So, in our analysis of the firm's short-run output decision, we need more information in order to determine whether the firm is earning money or losing money. In order to determine whether the firm is earning or losing money, we need what we call the break-even price. We need to identify the break-even price. We know that the profit, the economic profit, is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Total revenue is equal to P times Q, and total cost is equal to the average total cost times Q. So economic profit is equal to price minus average total cost times the quantity produced. This is equal to Q, quantity produced, factor P minus ATC. P minus ATC. So, when the price is equal to ATC, the average total cost, when the price is equal to ATC, the economic profit is equal to 0. Then the price at which the economic profit is 0 is called the break-even price. And the break-even price is the price at which economic profit is 0. P equal to average total cost. This is the first information we need to determine whether the firm is earning positive profits or losing money. But this information is not enough for us, especially when the firm is losing money. Losing money is something ordinary. It happens to at most all new businesses. At the beginning, it's very normal that you lose money, but to which extent you can accept losing money, this is very important in business. So we need a new point. The break-even price was used to determine the price level starting from which you can start earning positive profit. Then here, it's an important information here. If the price is equal to ATC, the profit is equal to 0. Then we deduce that if the price is lower than the ATC, then your profit P is less than 0. You lose money. If the market price is higher than your average total cost, then your profit P is positive. You earn money. You earn positive profit. This is very important. Now we need the second point, second price, to know under which conditions the firm accepts to operate in the market. Here we need what we call the shutdown price, below which price the firm closes its doors, below which price the firm shut down. So the principle is as follows. The firm decides to operate if total revenue is higher than the variable cost. You operate if the money you earn are at least enough to pay your variable cost. So you operate if P times Q is higher than ABC, average variable cost, times Q. And you shut down if total revenue is lower than variable cost. So you shut down if P times Q is lower than ABC, average variable cost, times Q. We can, and you operate if P times Q higher than EBC times Q. We can simplify here by Q. You can eliminate Q here, Q here, Q here, Q here. Then, in the short run, a firm decides to operate if the price is higher than the average variable cost. However, the firm decides to shut down if the price is lower than the average variable cost. So, we can define the shutdown price as the price at which the firm is indifferent between operating and shutting down. That means when the price is equal to the average variable cost, you can shut down or you can continue to operate. Now you are indifferent. But if the price is lower than the ABC, you shut down. Shut down. If the price is higher than ABC, you continue to operate. You operate. So, what's the meaning here? In the short run, the firm operates if its total revenue is higher than the variable cost. What's the meaning here? In the short run, the firm has fixed costs and variable costs. So here the idea is that if you are not able to pay at least your variable cost, it would be better that you shut down. I will give you the example of the cafeteria in Ramadan or in the summer. At you, you can take any coffee in Ramadan in the morning. Okay, you will see that in Ramadan all coffees are closed in the morning. Why? Why do the cafe close their doors? Or why at SU the cafeteria closes its doors during 2 months or 3 months? The answer is related to this. In the summer, for example, at SU, if the cafeteria will open its doors, the only customers will be the employees of SU. 10 people at most, at most 10 people will buy coffee or tea or sandwiches. So the revenue will not be enough to pay at least the salaries of employees, of workers. So this is the principle. If your revenues are not enough to pay at least your variable cost, then shut down. Shut down doesn't mean exit the market. Shut down, that means you close your doors. It's the same that is done by the cafeteria owner in the summer. Okay? So, in the short run, the principle, in the short run, when the firm shut down, when the firm closes its door, the firm will continue to pay its fixed cost. The fixed cost is the cost that you pay whether you operate or not. You have to pay your fixed cost. For example, for the cafeteria at SU, it's the rent. They pay the rent. whether they are closed or not, they pay the rent. So in the summer, the cafeteria owner pays the rent to SU. This cost paid by the cafeteria's owner is considered as a sunk cost. It's a cost that the firm will pay, and it can never be recovered. That's why when you make the decision to operate or not, you do not include in your rezoning the fixed cost. You only take into consideration the variable cost. It would be preferable that your revenues cover your variable cost, your fixed cost, and so you earn positive profits. This is the best scenario, but if your revenues are not enough, they must at least cover your variable cost in order to operate. If your revenues do not cover your variable cost, you shut down in the short run. Let's take a graphical example. So here we have point D. Point D is the minimum of the average variable cost curve, and its minimum, this is the shutdown price. And here we have the average total cost curve. Here you have the break-even price. The break-even price. Here you have the shutdown price. The shutdown price. So, here the shutdown price is equal to $3. Remember, the shutdown price is where the price is equal to the average cost, but also the price is where also the price is equal to the marginal cost, because in the short run the firm maximizes its profit by producing the quantity where the price is equal to the marginal cost. So here, if we want to identify the shutdown price, you should always look at the minimum of the average total, the average variable cost curve. If you want to find the break-even price, you look always at the minimum of the average total cost curve. So here, by looking at the minimum of the average variable cost, we find that this minimum is equal to 3. So the shutdown price for this firm is equal to 3. So if the market price is equal to 3, the firm shut down. If P is the price is equal to 4, that's okay. 4 is higher than 3. So the firm will operate on the market. But how much? Now that we know that the firm should operate on the market, now we should determine how much the firm will produce. So for P equal to 4, the firm will produce the quantity that maximizes its profit. That means the quantity where the market price is equal to the marginal cost. That happens here at point A. So we use this point. We find that the firm will produce 4 shirts per minute. Now, after finding the quantity that will be produced by the firm, we can determine whether the firm is earning positive profits or losing money. So to do that, we need to calculate the profit. The profit is equal to total profit, the total revenue. Total revenue is equal to P price, P times Q, 4 times 4, this is total revenue, minus total cost. Total cost is equal to Q times the average total cost. This is Q, 4. We project 4 on the average total cost curve, point B. We find the average total cost, 7.5. So the total cost here is equal to 4 times 7.5. It's equal to 30. This is 4 times 40, 75. So finally we find that the profit of the firm is equal to 16 minus 32, minus 30 is equal, the firm is losing $14. It's equal to 16 total revenue. This is total revenue minus total cost, which is equal to $30. 16 minus 30 equal to minus 14. Then the firm is losing $14. Now we can construct the firm's short-run supply curve. A perfectly competitive firm has an individual supply curve. Remember from chapter 3 that the short-run supply curve is a curve showing the relationship between the market price and the quantity of output supplied by a firm. So, here we have Q, here we have P, we have the marginal cost curve, we have the average total cost curve, and the average variable cost. Average variable cost curve. We have here the minimum of the average variable cost curve, which is the shutdown price. And here we have the minimum of the average total cost curve, the break-even price. So, we can imagine different prices. Say that here it's P1. The market price is equal to P1. The firm produces Q1. When the firm produces when the market price is equal to P2, the firm produces Q2. When the market price is equal to P3, the firm produces to Q3. When the firm is equal, the market price is equal to P4, the firm produces Q4, and when the price is lower than the shutdown price, the firm produces 0. When the market price is lower than the shutdown price, the firm produces 0. So here we have this part. Starting from this point, the firm produces positive quantities. Okay? Then here we have for different prices the upper portion. This is the upper portion of the marginal cost curve that is located or that lies above the minimum of the average variable cost curve. This is the portion of the marginal cost curve that lies above the average variable cost curve. Then here it gives this portion of the curve gives us different quantities of output for different market prices. Then this portion of the marginal cost curve that lies above the average variable cost curve is actually the supply curve. The supply curve of our firm. So the firm's short-run supply curve, the firm's short-run supply curve is the portion of its marginal cost curve that lies above its average variable cost curve. Okay, this portion that lies above the average variable, this is the average variable cost curve, is the short-run supply, the firm supply curve. That's how we can construct the short-run supply curve for a perfectly competitive firm. And from this curve we can deduce the market supply curve. Okay? So for example, in our example here, in our first example here, so here's the marginal cost. The marginal cost is equal to 4Q, the marginal cost is equal to 4Q minus 3. Okay? Then we can find the supply curve by equalizing the marginal cost and the market price. So 4Q minus 3 is equal to P. So 4Q is equal to P plus 3. So Q is equal to P plus 3 divided by 4. This is the quantity supplied, the quantity that will be supplied by the firm given different price levels. For example, in our example, if the price is equal to 9, if P equal to 9, then Q will be equal to 9 plus 3, 12 over 4, 3. Q is equal to 3. This is how we can, but this expression is the supply curve. The supply curve. This is the equation, the supply curve equation. Any questions? So most of the material in this chapter, will be necessary to succeed in the final exam. So I advise you to, when you come back, when you review for the final, to fully consider chapter 6. And you have a recording now for this virtual session. You can, at any moment, you can come back and re-listen to the recording.